Betty, bring me everyone.
What do you mean, everyone?
Everyone!
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
Barry Manilow know that you raid his wardrobe?
Let me explain something to you. I am not Mr. Lebowski. You're Mr. Lebowski. I'm the dude.
No one is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle.
You can't fight in here. This is the war room.
Surely you can't be serious.
I am serious. And don't call me Shirley.
Hubba.
Welcome back to the Zedos Gang podcast. I am Joseph Buchanan. Joining me today is Ken from the Creative Control podcast, soon to be up. Ken, how you doing?
How you doing?
Cool.
Good to be here.
And we have Sach, who is also Major League in this podcast. Hey, Sach, how you doing?
Guten Tag.
Okay, German. And we have Leo, Mr. Damage. Mr. Damage joining us today.
Hello.
Say again?
I said hello, motherfucker. What the fuck else do you want me to say?
That's the one.
No.
I needed your face to show up on the screen because
is my face not showing up on the screen?
Yes, it activates when you talk.
Oh right, okay. Because usually it's I've got like a racially ambiguous face. So some people are like, "What is he? Is he Arab? Is he Hawaiian? Is he?" I'm like, "No, motherfucker." You know what I did? You know the reason I cut my hair off? I realized that just from this angle, I look like No Neck Head. So I was like, got to take it off.
No Neck Head.
And if anybody knows who No Neck Head is, just go watch 90 Day Fiance.
Oh my gosh! Nah, you don't look like 90 Day. You don't look like him.
Yeah, but in this angle, I do, especially when I had long hair. All I need now is a Filipino girlfriend, and we're good to go.
And joining us is The Empire Strikes Back, Neil.
What's up?
Okay, let's get to this.
Neil, you might want to turn the light on. I mean, I know you're black, but you look very black.
You are very.
I'm trying to show the dark side, isn't it?
I can see the logo and your teeth.
Yeah. You look like an unlockable character.
I know, man. Hey, you got to platinum the game to get me.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I could boost the contrast in the post production. Okay.
Are you going to tell a horror story now, Neil? Hold the camera, the light underneath.
You like scary stories?
What a day. Okay, so first off the bat, we're talking about the Bill and Ted Face the Music trailer. Did any of you guys see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you guys think of it? What do you think Bill and Ted are back? Is this something you go to see in the cinema or VOD or just avoid?
No, I'm down for this. It just looks fun, man. These guys have come back. They've waited. It's either to do with just the money or the nostalgia, or they were just waiting for a good script. And it's weird to see Keanu without the beard and the long hair and everything.
Yeah.
It's quite strange. And when he's doing the whole
John Wick thing.
Yeah.
Right. When he's
doing the whole, whoa, dude, and he's like the back of that surfer thing. It's quite strange, but I mean, look, you can see just some of the trailer bits. They're just gonna have a laugh. They're gonna see different versions of themselves, loads of makeup, loads of just taking the mic and just not taking themselves seriously. Yeah, I'm so down for this, man. I think it's just gonna be jokes.
Yeah.
I agree with Fred Durst. He's right. It's gonna be a great film. Yeah, rolling. Yeah, that's it. You got it, Ken. You're rolling. Yeah, so I agree with Fred Durst. He's right. I think it's going to be a great film. It's, do you know what? I didn't really like the second one that much as I liked the first one.
The first trailer?
I thought the first... No, the movie. The first Excellent Adventure.
Excellent Adventure, yeah.
I like Excellent more than I like Bogus.
I like Bogus.
Is good.
You thought it was bogus, right?
I like... Yeah, well, I mean, okay, sure. If you want to go there. I like Bogus, but I don't like it as much as Excellent. I don't know. Do you know what it is? Yeah, like, I see pictures of Keanu Reeves, and I'm like, he ain't that old. He doesn't look old. And then I see him do that, and I'm like, oh, dude, you're old.
Yeah.
He looks a lot older.
Like, you are a lot older in this, and you can definitely tell. Alex Winters looks pretty much the same. Like...
I mean, because you haven't really seen them much, so you can't really give
He's
a comparison
directing more, innit? He done a document. He does like documentaries and stuff now.
Right. I heard he was writing more than he did anything.
Yeah, I mean, he probably is writing too, but yeah, I mean, like, I do like the concept of it. Maybe it's just me. Like, I'm really just annoyed that there is no Rufus.
I mean, yeah.
But the guy who plays Death is the same dude from Bogus Journey.
Yeah,
so I was like, okay. The guy who does Naked Cutter in fucking Die Hard 2. Yeah, you guys remember that? Naked Cutter. That's what he was doing. He was doing Naked Cutter in Die Hard 2.
I can't remember. I remember Die Hard 2.
I forgot he was naked.
Yeah. He's doing butt naked Cutter in Die Hard 2. And I remember seeing Die Hard 2 and going, oh, that's the dude who got...
we lost you.
So, yeah, there you go.
What about you, Neil? What did you make?
It's weird. So on one hand, I'm like, I grew up with Bill and Ted, so I'm like, yeah, I'm happy to see him come back, make a movie. It's all good. But on the other hand, it's sort of like, it feels like, you know, certain things.
It seems a little bit off.
Yeah, something seems off about it. I don't know what it is. But I'm just like,
it's because Keanu Reeves looks older than you think he does. That's why. I'm telling you, that's what threw me off.
He's got a very waxy look, doesn't he, in it? Because of his
like not him like shaving. I'm like, you clean shaven ain't working, Keanu. Like,
yeah, bring it back. Yeah, he should just basically be John Wick in everything.
Maybe he didn't. It's all digital.
Yeah. Well, I'm surprised that they didn't do something digital with Rufus in it. Like use that would have. I mean, that probably would have cost a lot of money, but that would have been cool.
Who knows? He might crop up in it. You don't know.
Yeah, a beautiful cameo.
They might.
Do you guys remember the cartoon?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he did the voice for Rufus in the cartoon.
They all did.
Did anybody?
They all did.
They all did play the characters?
Keanu as well. Yeah.
Oh, that's sick. That is sick. I didn't know that. I thought it was literally just.
I thought
Rufus.
it was just Rufus.
No, it was all a film for a couple of episodes, and then as it progressed, then they changed them with different voiceover actors. But Keanu Reeves and Alex Winters played them both.
I got to buy that shit on Blu-ray.
For a couple of
episodes. If they released it, I got to buy that.
Yeah,
that was great.
But speaking of this film, I mean, if you actually get the Bogus Journey on DVD, and if you check the extra features, they actually ask them about Bill and Ted 3 back in 1988 or 89, whenever the hell it came out, and they asked them when's the next one. Yeah, and they turned around with the writers and they said, we don't want to do one every year because the other idea for Bill and Ted was to do it, but then do it in an English class or a geography class and that kind of thing. And that's the studio's idea. And the studio didn't like the go to hell and heaven idea at all. And the only reason why that got made was because Keanu Reeves went with the writers. He goes, well, who's your next version of Ted? He pulled a Bruce Willis on them. And because he was a big star at the time, they're like, fine, we'll go to hell. And then it made all the money. And then they really wanted a third one. And then they were like, no, we will only do a third one when we're 60. When we're 50 or 60 and we're old men. And the premise was there back then. Wow. And that's why, if you ever watch Keanu Reeves interviews from The Matrix onwards, IGN would always ask him, when's the next Bill and Ted? And he'll always say, we're too young. We've got to be older. Funnily enough, you mentioned how old he's looking without the beard. Believe it or not, that is makeup. That is actually makeup because Keanu Reeves just doesn't feel that he looks old enough.
That's amazing.
They actually aged him.
That's amazing.
So, well, my favorite part of everything you just said there was that you quoted Kevin Smith in pulling a Bruce Willis.
Yeah.
If you guys don't know that story, do you guys know that?
Yeah.
You mean on that?
Yeah,
film?
I wasn't going to tangent on it, but yeah.
Yeah, it's on the set of Die Hard 4.
4, yeah.
Yeah.
When he says
like,
second
choice for John McClane.
He's talking to the producer. He goes, yeah. Who's your second choice for John McClane? Cool. He goes, yeah, they're going to put it in the script.
Nice.
But I know, I didn't know they used makeup on him. That's interesting.
But my thoughts on the trailer itself, I think it looks really good. I've been waiting for this for a while because I've known about this idea for a while since I bought the DVD when DVDs first came out and stuff. And then this just became legend and myth. And the other thing was the past 5 years, studios were kind of like, no, we don't think we should go down the well, because they didn't think it was a big enough IP. And I kind of get where they were thinking of, but I think because of John Wick, Keanu Reeves got this role at the moment where anything he's in, you know what I mean, just make it happen. So why not?
I think it's with this film. I think it's, if you're a fan of Bill and Ted, you grew up with it, then you're like, yeah, I'm gonna watch it. I'm cool. You know, it's visiting old friends. Whereas if you're not familiar with it, if if your earliest memories of Keanu Reeves are freaking The Matrix or John Wick, then chances are you ain't gonna enjoy it.
Oh yeah, no doubt it's predominantly going to be filled with people that only watch the other ones. This ain't going to be one of those like movies where you're going to see, I doubt you're going to see like 15-year-old kids or whatever. They're going to be like, yeah, man, I'm going to go see Bill and Ted. And if they do, they're not really going to get it. Like, dude, you need to watch the other two first. Like, you got to do homework to watch this movie.
Yeah.
And it's not really homework because it's not bad. It doesn't suck. But do you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things where you got to do some extracurricular watching.
I think they're re-releasing the first one in cinemas, digitally remastered anyway.
Yeah, they are.
Bro, tell me that's not how you learnt history, bro. It was that between Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and fucking Wishbone is how I learned history.
And what?
Wishbone. You remember Wishbone?
Don't know.
Oh shit! You better ask somebody, Neil. Fucking hell. Wishbone was a show, that come on Nickelodeon when I was a kid about a dog, his kid and his dog, and then the dog would have the kid would have some conundrum about some
Hold
sort
on,
of
wait a minute.
life thing.
The dog, like a little dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was like a little Jack Terrier or something, whatever the fuck those dogs are called. Yeah, the kid would have some sort of life conundrum that only teenagers in Canada would have. And and then the dog would find a book that would solve his problems, and he would then live out a special episode that would give a life lesson out to the viewer.
Yeah, no, I remember it.
Very Canada, very, very Are You Afraid of the Dark, Goosebumps, Canadian, same actors who all populated the same shit. And that's how I learned history, was that and fucking Bill and Ted.
I have to admit, I did the first words I learned in French, they come from Bill and Ted.
Merde, yeah. Yeah, when Napoleon is bowling and he's like, merde, 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 merde.
But even now, if he goes to the water slide, and he's like, sacre bleu.
Yeah, that was a great movie. I might watch that one again, actually. I might watch it again to catch up.
Genghis Khan in the sports store is still a reference that is just like,
bro, Genghis Khan and then Joan of Arc doing gymnastics. Yeah, that was, and Socrates, because they couldn't say Socrates. It's like, stop, friends. Socrates. Yeah, that was the first time I learned that bubblegum can fix shit.
What?
You guys got it, right? Remember they have to fix it.
Yeah, I got it. I got it with that
so
aerial.
They have bubblegum and they're sharing bubblegum together to put it back together. To fix the antenna.
I remember you talk about that. Yeah, I couldn't remember that for some reason. All right. Well, I guess we'll move on. Actually, one more thing about Bill and Ted. It's going straight to VOD. Is it? Yeah, it's going straight to VOD.
I think it'll be pretty well suited there, to be honest, considering the generation gap and everything. And I think it has the potential to maximize viewings on there, depending how well it is. So,
so what is that, Neil?
You said it's going to VOD. Who is it going to Netflix, Amazon Prime?
I'm not sure. Don't know. There's no info.
It'll get bought, though. It'll get bought. I'll pay for it.
Like, if that turns up on Netflix, right, it's going to be the number one thing trending on Netflix.
Totally.
Right.
Bro, Netflix have been killing it right now with their stuff. Old Guard. Have you ever seen that? Holy shit.
Yeah, is it good?
Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah?
Enjoyable.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which takes us to the next trailer, which is Kevin Smith's Kilroy. I just watched it. Wow.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it yet.
That's a bloody trailer.
Okay.
And Chris Jericho's in it, which is that's a win for me.
Absolutely.
After Jay and
he was in his,
like I see Jericho, I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
They've kind of got this relationship now because he was in Jay and Silent Bob reboot.
That's right. Yeah.
They've developed this relationship now, and Jericho is just gold, man.
Yeah. I love
Jericho shows up on the Smodcast quite a bit, and Kevin Smith actually goes on Chris Jericho's podcast as well quite a bit. They developed I think what was it? Jay and Silent Bob were actually supposed to be on WWE. And
that's right. Yeah,
it never happened for whatever reason.
Because he had a heart attack.
No, it wasn't about the heart attack. It was some other thing.
No. What happened was they were supposed to do it recently, and there's another wrestling company called AEW, and Chris Jericho is on AEW. So what had happened was within the space of the same week. So it was like Wednesday, Kevin Smith and Jason Mewes were on AEW. And they were supposed to be on Friday Night SmackDown that same week. As soon as WWE saw them on AEW, like, don't come.
Right. Oh, that's definitely a Vince McMahon thing. That's definitely a Vince McMahon decision.
Yeah. But since then, him and Chris Jericho, they're boys now. So he put him in the Jay and Silent Bob reboot. And looks like he's going to be cameoing in a lot more Kevin Smith.
I'm literally watching the trailer as we speak.
It's just crazy. I mean, he's got his daughter in it again. Yeah. I don't know how much it is, but I think it's probably going to be, from what I can gather, there's probably a lot of multiple stories going on at the same time.
Yeah,
because it looks like it was probably it looks like he was shot in lockdown. Well, not lockdown, but during COVID. So I think they've shot things with separate peoples, and then they're just going to tie it together.
Right.
So
kind of like an anthology thing, like VHS. Has anyone ever seen VHS?
Yeah.
So it would probably be something like that. Like all the stories are part of one, but you see an individual slice of it. Yeah. But it's again, it looks like a slasher film.
I think you probably mean more Terrifier, the film Terrifier.
I've not seen that.
Okay, so it's got like that weird clown in it, and he seems to be the antagonist in all these VOD movies. Like not VOD, sorry, these little anthology movies, and he seems to be the concurrent like villain across all of them.
Right.
That's what I think. That's more of a realistic thing. But I've just watched the trailer.
What do you make of it?
It looks better than Tusk.
So, do you know what? With Tusk, I think that's so experimental that it stands on its own, right?
I don't know what that fucking film is. I mean,
it's great, man.
I'm not gonna lie. I like Tusk. I like.
No,
Tusk.
I know you do. I know
it was
you do.
messed up. It was totally messed up. And I like Red State more though. Red State.
Red State is good.
Red State.
I like the ending. The ending he wanted to do for Red State.
Yeah.
He described in his stand-up comedy is way better than what we actually got. But he was like, He was like, I want to make it this, but I don't have 15 million to do that last ending, because that was privately funded, right? They didn't go.
Yeah, all of it.
Well, that was just it, man. That film was his big fuck you to Hollywood because he wanted to do the roadshow thing, but literally he called up all the investors from all the major studios and was like, I've got my thing, I'm auctioning it off. Who wants to get it? Everyone's like, maybe. And he's like, you know what? Fuck you. I ain't going to give it to any one of you guys. I'm going to fund it myself. And like, it was a bit pointless, really, but hey, he did what he did, isn't it?
He took it on the road, and it ended up making quite a bit of money. So
it did, and he made more money doing it that way than he would have like selling it to a studio, I guess. And plus, he enjoys like doing his tours and his talks.
He can do both at the same time.
I feel like,
so
what are you saying?
I feel like what happened with Tusk was he did Red State, and it was, for me at least, the realization that it was like, you can do this type of movie and it's just, it's brilliant. Mm-hmm. And then he was like, what else I got in the tank? What other weirdness have I got floating in the back that I haven't, pulled out? And it was like Tusk.
That came off a news article that you read about.
That's right. Yeah.
Off a Gumtree article.
Gumtree. Yeah, it wasn't an original idea, but he just read that and was like, I got to make this movie.
Well, it was a messed up article. It was a messed up article, and plus
the whole thing
original article was from.
The whole
Gumtree.
thing is messed up, Sacha. It's a fucking dude who turns another dude into a walrus because he got stuck on an island with one.
Come on, man! How
out of here,
Leo? How can you find that not appealing? It's even if you saw the synopsis of it, you have to watch it. It's like I've got to see what happens.
That's the problem. That's the problem. I did have to watch it, and I watched it, and I was super. I wasn't even disappointed. I was just like, he's you know that meme with that black girl, and she's like holding her hand up, really confused. And she's like, what? Like that. That's what I was like. I was like, I don't fucking know what I just watched.
Yeah, like Jake said, though, it really is that kind of thing, though, where you're just sitting there and it's like you hear the synopsis, and like you want to be like, I'm not watching that bullshit, and then your brain starts taking over, and you're like, I'm gonna watch this.
I wonder what happens in that film.
I think the only Neil's just described what I do with porn. And all of you know because all of you have received my messages.
I think the only Kevin Smith film I never really liked was Yoga Hosers. I only got 15 minutes into that. I had to tap out, man. I was like, no, fuck this film.
I've never seen it.
It's bad.
I kind of like the last Kevin Smith film I watched is when we went to watch
Reboot
in the cinema.
And that delivered, man. I'm sorry. That
I bought that. I bought it on iTunes because I was like, this film's hilarious. Yeah. But I don't. There's nothing like. I don't know. I harken back to the older Kevin Smith stuff, but even now, like I watch Rats, and I'm like, and I was like, oh, I can totally see. Like I look at it like a film it's a classic, but not a classic, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. Like I can see the mistakes being made in it. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I want to. I think personally, for me, I think Kevin Smith is losing this little bit of touch.
No.
On original stuff, bro. On original stuff. We've just said it because like
he's doing what he wants to do. He's doing what he's.
No, I know. He's got fuck you money now. He can do what he wants. But my point is like I didn't like Tusk. I haven't seen Yoga Hoses. I wasn't really drawn to go and want to watch it. I didn't. I even Clerks 2. Like, meh.
Clerks 2 is amazing. Clerks 2 is amazing.
I said meh. I didn't
films
say
that he wants to make.
Listen,
so
I know. I get that. Yeah, no, I understand. Like I said, he's got fuck you money. He can do what the fuck he wants. I'm just saying. I preferred Clerks 1 over Clerks 2. Like I preferred his like standalone movies that existed in that universe, and like Tusk kind of brought me away from that. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And like Tusk brought me out of that, and then when Yoga Hoses came out, I was like, "Is this going to be just another Tusk?" And that's it. It left such a bad taste in my mouth that like I was like, I don't really want to watch anything else he's made. And like obviously, Jay and Silent Bob's a different story, though, isn't it? Because like it's fucking Jay and Silent Bob. But apart from that,
that's fair
I can
enough.
take it or leave it with Kevin Smith.
Okay, well, we'll move on to another trailer, which is the Megan Fox Rogue trailer. Okay, with that, Neil, go for it, Neil.
I'm sorry, I'm like being blasphemous, but goddamn, what the fuck?
Ken's got an interesting insight on this. Ken,
I saw that trailer and I was like, it's Deep Blue Sea in the desert with tigers.
yeah, it really is.
I was like, he even had the shot of them all standing back and there's one guy in the back, tiger coming through, snatch him out of nowhere. They had that Samuel moment with the shark.
Yeah.
I was like, the CGI is just shocking. I was like, this has got to be a quarantine movie. They were just stranded out in a desert somewhere. The guy's done the special effects on his iPad at home. And
hey, don't diss special effects on iPads, Ken.
Look,
I don't see what you're saying.
You've seen the trailer, right? This ain't like your artwork, right? This is like clearly, this is like GCSE.
The thing is, you can see they've tried, and that's what's disappointing.
Right?
You see they've actually tried, but I mean, I think it is going to be one of those films where you just sit back and it's going to be like Hobbs and Shaw, but just not as funny. So Hobbs and Shaw, you're kind of in on the joke with them. They know it's just crazy shit, but this seems to be like, we're doing this crazy shit, but we're kind of serious about it. We're trying to go for gripping and dramatic, and I just can't get on board with Megan Fox. She just looks so out of place in this military role. And
looking at her, right? Like, I'm sorry. Like, I can watch a film in which you have a younger female as the lead. She is in charge of this group, right? And I'm like, okay, she's not in her 20s to mid 30s, but you look at the old guard with Charlize Theron. I'm like, you're believable running this group.
Mm-hmm.
And there are many films you could see, and you're like, okay, I can believe that this young, we've chosen you as eye candy. You're in here to lead the group. I can see that, and I'm like, but I'm looking at that trailer, and I see Megan Fox, and I'm like, you are not believable in any capacity. I'm like, I wouldn't trust you with a paintball gun, and you are there, like, supposed to be the leader of this group, and you're the one who can stay calm when the tigers come. And I was just like, I'm out.
Yeah. Do you know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of that time that Keira Knightley tried to be a badass and made that film Domino.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, exactly, right? It is. It's when there's certain females, and I just like, it's not just females. There are certain dudes as well who you look at them and you're like, I can't see you as the leader of this group.
It's because it's because she's, when someone's too good looking and they don't really do enough to transform themselves into that character and that role. That's literally what's happened there. It's like they've just taken her as a name. They haven't even bothered with the makeup and stuff because obviously they're trying to sell her as the movie star on the poster. Mm-hmm. It's a low budget horror movie. If that's a horror movie, the trailer to me seemed like an action movie, but then I was like, what? I was a bit confused by the tone, but I guess it's going to be jokes. So that's cool.
It's probably going to try and be a Dusk Till Dawn type thing of where the first half of the movie is this kind of like it's going one way, and then the second half is like, oh, is the horror.
Yeah, so that might be what it is. Cool. I don't know, but that it must be comedy, because if they were going to make her a badass, they'd have to ground it, and if you're going to ground it, you've got to make her do her Linda Hamilton, man, and we are not getting that from Megan Fox, quite clearly. But you know what I mean? Like, I'm just looking for jokes, to be quite honest. If it delivers on the jokes, I'm all in. And yeah, that's
I agree, guys. I absolutely 100% agree.
Oh boy.
I think that's
he's trying to do it my way.
I like it. I see what you did there.
I think he's right. I 100% agree. What do you guys think?
If you don't know what's going on, ladies and gentlemen, there's a battle between the 1990s and the early 2000s going on.
What does your hat say at the front of it, though, Ken?
SD San Diego.
Eat a bowl of dicks, man. Eat a bowl of dicks, bro.
The Dodgers. Oh no.
LA, baby. That's the only way.
Okay, let's move on to the next segment. Okay, so George.
Do you know what I had to do whilst we were doing this? I had to call my girlfriend, text her to say, "Can you bring me my hat, my blue hat in,
I need to make fun."
Yeah, and that's exactly what I said, bro. I said, "I'm taking a piss out of corporate Ken."
George Clooney in negotiations to helm Amazon's The Tender Bar. Never heard of it. I don't know what this film is.
It's an adaptation of a book that's like it's like a what's the term when it's like a day in the life and the person writes about their life in the book?
Like a
biography?
Not a biography,
it's a memoir.
Memoirs. It's basically a film based on a book about memoirs about this guy who grew up more or less in a bar kind of thing. Like his uncle was a regular in the bar and stuff, and he doesn't have a father figure. And basically it's literally about him in this bar with these regulars. Kind of sounds like my local.
Yeah, Sasha's right. It's J.R. Moehringer. And yes, he doesn't, like Sasha, doesn't have this father figure out, and he goes to this bar, and it's a life journey. It's about him trying to become a man, but learning through these different people that he meets in the bar. So it could be quite a low budget film in that sense.
Yeah, I think it is, because I think Clooney's circling this and another project, and
Ocean's 14.
Yeah, probably, but this wasn't in. This wasn't like there, and now he's taken on board this because the logistics seems like it's easier to shoot around COVID and stuff. And,
yeah, exactly. It's something they can definitely do now. And George Clooney, you know, as a director, he's a fantastic talent, like a Good Night, Good Luck and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think with a conversational piece and that kind of stuff, that's going to suit his direction and suit what he can bring out of the actors. It'll be, I think you'll probably see it in periods, so they might have to start with quite a young boy and see him grow up in different stages. I think the guy goes to like Harvard or something, but he goes to like a good school, but then he flops out and he tries his hands at different things and it just doesn't work out. So yeah, it's just a boy becomes man kind of journey. Don't know if he's going to star in it at any point either, but yeah, he's down to direct it.
He's an old man.
Yeah.
Okay. So is this definitely happening? And who's? Is Amazon fixed? Is it going to go straight to Amazon? Is it going to go to the cinema?
It's Amazon Studios. Mm-hmm. So whether it's going to get,
Amazon films usually go cinema first. That's what I like about Amazon. They don't just pull it to the streaming site. They let it have a life in the wilderness, and then it goes to their site. And I like that idea of having that dual presence of being able to release a film, let it have a life, and then now you can watch it here if you want to watch it at home. And I guess that's what Netflix is trying to do as well, to some degree. So is this due to come out this year, or is it something for next year?
Probably something for next year, I would have thought.
Right. Anybody else have any thoughts on this? Is this something you're going to watch, Leo?
I've not been paying attention. I'm so sorry.
That's your answer.
Leo's been writing his memoirs. It's called The Memoirs of Michael Duggett.
I've been. No, hold on. I've been fact checking something that Sacha sent me, in it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he sent me a picture, and I had to do a reverse Google search, and then check something. And I'm sorry, I wasn't actually paying attention. Memoirs of what?
The Memoirs of Michael Duggett.
Who the fuck is Michael Duggett?
Mickey Duggett.
Oh, Michael Davitt. Mickey D.
Is it Michael Davitt? Is it Davitt or Duggett?
Yeah, that's his name. Yeah.
Oh, what a prick!
Walking, he's a walking chlamydia, mate.
I have no idea who this person is, but like the way you guys have been roasting him, I'm like, yeah, he sounds like a prick. He sounds like he earned it.
No, you know what? It came to mind because the movie sounds like The Memoirs of Michael Duggett. So that's what I'm going to call it from now on.
For anybody who doesn't know, it's like, if you really want to know how much I really don't give a shit, is about how you feel or anything really. I recently saw a post on Facebook that reminded me of someone who I don't like, and then I publicly blasted that person on Facebook. But because they blocked me, I can't tag them. But I called them a womanizing piece of shit. Basically, and I did it twice actually, because I saw another post which reminded me of it, and I just didn't feel enough shots were fired, so I just did it again.
Okay,
and that's what that was. But
50 Cent.
Sorry?
You're like my own personal 50 Cent. Like, I just wait for something to happen, and I'm just like, I wonder what Lee's going to say about this.
Do you know my cousin? My cousin said to me she uses Facebook, and the only reason she uses Facebook is for my posts. Apparently, they give her life, and I was like, oh, really? She's like, yeah, they're hilarious. She's like really young. She's young, not young, but she's like in her 20s. She's like, yeah, but they're hilarious because you just don't care. I'm like, yeah, I really don't care. Like I've been like publicly opposing the Black Lives Matter communist movement the entire time I've been on Facebook. So you see Joe reach over real quick to be like, mute. He's like making. So I just watched Joe, right? Because I got you on gallery.
Make a note. This is to cut out.
He literally went click. to like.
No, I'm writing down minutes for when if something is. You don't know how bad YouTube is, man. You really don't.
Yeah, this would probably get it off air. So
okay, yeah. So up until that point, I mentioned that part. You can cut out. But anyway, so talk to me about this memoirs thing. What were we talking? I wasn't paying attention.
We've passed it now. We've passed it.
Okay, right. Yeah. So just because I can't be fucked to write this, Sacha, I did check your image that you just sent me. Reverse search. It's from 2018. But it is still them. So yeah, and I've just shared that on Facebook.
Okay, well, that's a mystery. And Sonic 2.
It's not a mystery to anybody who wants to follow me on Facebook. You're more than welcome.
God damn it, Leo. Sonic
What?
2.
Why am I saying God damn it? What are you saying God damn it for?
Because I'm trying to get through the sentence for the next topic.
Go.
Okay. So Sonic 2 is set for 2022. Jim Carrey and the rest of the cast and crew are back. What do people think about that?
Cool.
Do you know what? I was I really liked the first Sonic movie. I also think that James Marston, whatever his name is, I think he needs work.
Cyclops,
since his poor performance in Cyclops and then subsequently as Joe Everyman in Superman. The only time I've seen him in a decent film was Straw Dogs. Have you guys seen that? The remake that came out like 2011 or something like that. That's a great movie.
That was serious.
But dude, you remember the bit with the fucking the bear trap out of nowhere? Do you not remember that? The new one?
Yes, that's what I said fucking hell.
Oh, right. I thought you said no. I was like, yeah. Dude, that bear trap came out of nowhere. I remember I was just sitting there chilling watching this film. Then a bear trap comes and hits a dude in the head, and I went, oh! Crazy. But yeah, I think he needs work. I think Jason Marsden, they should really give him more roles. But yeah, Sonic 2, man. Like, I was down. I liked Sonic 1, to be honest. I think Sonic 1 was a great movie. I think it shows that the pushback that the community can have, which is, it's one of the few video game movies that they've done right. And then when the community pushed back on what Sonic looked like when they first released it,
man.
And they were like, no, that's disgusting. And then they were like, and then they would turn back and they went, okay, we're going to fix it. And then they did a fucking good job. Like, it's like a really basic movie, but I also loved how they took the piss out of Mario, which was great. So I thought, yeah, okay, cool. And I think that's a great example. Like, if Nintendo, because what's her name doing? Brie Larson.
She wants to be Samus. She wants to be Samus, doesn't she?
She's like begging to be Samus. So if Nintendo ever do a movie, don't make that film. Because fuck Brie Larson, fuck Captain Marvel, and yeah, I'd rather them just make a Mario. Just re-release the Bob Hoskins one on Blu-ray. On like 14,
they made a steelbook of it.
Did they? Amazing. Yeah. I'm gonna buy it. Yeah, release that. That film's so awkward and weird, but I'd rather watch that along couple. Release it in a double feature. That and Waterworld. Do that.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Give me that and Waterworld. Throw those in there. Make it a flop feature. I'd rather watch that than watch a Samus movie. But yeah, I think
a Samus movie in general, or is this, or are you just
no?
Wants to be in?
No, yeah, that's
she wants to be. She wants to be Samus. Yeah,
because you know what, I love Metroid, and I'm down for a Metroid play.
Nah, dude, they did it. It's called Doom. You don't need to play it. It's crap. You don't. The thing is, it's like if they made another Sonic movie, which they are obviously, they're going to make another Sonic film. That they got Jim Carrey. I was dubious when I first saw Jim Carrey. I don't know how anybody else feels, but the whole time I was watching that movie, like the trailer, for the first one, I was like, this film's going to suck balls. Why are they wasting their money on it? And then they just fucking knocked it out of the park. Mm-hmm. I was like, for a film that I watched that film 3 times, and I was like, I can totally see the big problems with this movie, but I get it. It's like successful. It's fun. It's an enjoyable film to watch.
Sponsored by Squarespace.
Is it sponsored by Squarespace?
No, it's sponsored by everyone under the sun. That was the only flaw I had about. That's the only flaw I had about.
Yeah, but that was the Power Rangers movie. They're sponsored by fucking Krispy Kreme or whatever it was. So.
Do you know how hard it is to finance a film, man? Let them do that advertising.
Yeah, I get it.
Let them do that advertising.
And they would have had to pay Jim Carrey a lot of money for that movie.
Yeah.
So,
totally. He was probably the most expensive thing.
I agree with you.
100%.
I think it was a fun movie. I think they got the pacing right. I think they got the screen time share between Sonic, James Marsden, and Jim Carrey right.
Yep, correct.
It wasn't too much Carrey because that could
have you seen it now? Or
yeah, I watched it a couple of months ago.
Okay.
And I thought it was really good. James Marsden. He's kind of actually on the up. He did He's in Westworld. He was really good in that.
He's on the Netflix show as well.
Yeah, Dead to Me, and then he's also doing The Stand, Stephen King adaptation, like the TV series. So he's going to be in that as well. So he when he's doing his dramatic performances, his comedic performance is kind of a hit and miss because he's often done CGI characters, like wasn't it Hop or something like that as well? We did,
the bunny
one. I can't remember which one that was. But yeah, I mean, Sonic it did really well with the kids. It appeased the gamers. We were interested to see how much they set in the Sonic world in the next one, or where they're going to take it. But obviously, you saw Tails arrive at the end of the first one, and he's on the poster already for the second one, so it's about that. It just depends if they're going to bring in Knuckles and other ones, So, but yeah, I think it's fun, and yeah. Okay. It could be a franchise that could keep going, and the James Marsden character that he could be in the second one and that's it, and they'll move on and just have different people accompanying him because that franchise can go on for a while.
Yeah,
I mean, if you look at Wreck-It Ralph, and it shows you can make a decent video game based movie. Like if you remove Sonic from the equation and look at what's the first Wreck-It. I mean, there's two, right? So you just watch the first Wreck-It Ralph movie. The bit when he's sitting in the room in the therapy room.
Oh, right, yeah.
And then Zangief is like, just because you're a bad guy does not mean you are a bad guy. And I was like,
even
that's
Robotnik's
hilarious.
in that.
Robotnik's there, Bison is there. I was like, that's such a great little nod to like everybody who watches older films and shit, like who plays older games. And like this film just seemed to, I mean, I never understood the whole premise about the owl and all that shit in the first movie. Because that's new shit they brought in, right?
Shit they brought in that wasn't in any of the Sega games. Because that's the first thing everyone said at Sega. They're like, "Yeah, I liked it, but like, what the fuck was with the owl shit?" Unless Sega are like actually like pocketing it in the movie to promote something else later on. Maybe that could be a thing. Because I don't keep up to date with these new 3D Sonics. I haven't done since I worked for back in day when I was on those projects.
Dude, you know I've never gotten past Zone 3 on Sonic, the third level.
What?
Never. Yeah, never in my life do I can't get past the casino.
That's not the first Sonic. That's Sonic 2. Casino.
No, whatever that. Not the casino.
Oh no! You're talking about. Oh fuck!
I'm talking about the game itself. I
know what you're talking about. No,
I was wrong. I didn't mean casino. I meant because I always got lost in the casino. I could never get past the second level on Sonic where the water rises when you play it in part 2 of that thing, and it's like dun, 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 dun. I could never get past that.
World Zone.
That's probably the second zone. Yeah, I could never get. That's how shit I am at Sonic. That's because it's crap.
That's my
Sonic is crap.
That's my favorite.
Sonic is crap. Sonic is crap, which is why Mario is way better. But,
anyway, Sonic 2, I'm down for it. Just bring us the Chaos Emeralds in there, have us a bit of the lore, give us more of the lore. Maybe do a reverse thing. Maybe James Marsden goes to Sonic World. There you go. Boom.
Okay,
Tails needs his help.
On to the next one.
Jim Carrey destroyed the world. Let's do it. I'm in.
Okay, I have nothing to say on it because I've not seen it. On to the next one. Zack Snyder confirms that the Justice League that he is making for Warner Brothers is not part of the DCEU continuity. I'll go to Neil for this one.
Zack can do whatever he likes.
Final answer.
I don't want it was like nah. You guys, you fucked up my movie.
Hold on. Rewind. I don't know what explain this to me.
Zack Snyder.
I thought that was Batman. That wasn't part of the DCEU.
No.
So obviously, Justice League. Obviously, he's doing his own version of it, his original vision, and that's going to be released on HBO Max. He hasn't confirmed whether it's a movie.
Oh no, I thought that was the Snyder Cut. I thought it was just the Snyder Cut.
Yeah, this is what we're talking about, the Snyder Cut. So it's coming out.
Oh, okay. Right.
And
yeah.
But he hasn't confirmed whether it's a movie or a TV series yet, whether it's going to be split up. But what they're saying is that's not going to be canon to the rest of the DCEU. So the Justice League, Joss Whedon's Justice League is canon.
Right. So this is just a standalone.
His is, I think he actually used the phrase. Do you use the phrase elsewhere?
Elseworld.
Sorry?
I don't know.
Elseworld.
Yeah. So, that could stream off to a whole separate, entity because obviously Wonder Woman is going to be Wonder Woman, sort of Aquaman and Shazam obviously came out after Justice League.
Oh, I'm curious about fucking Aquaman after.
Even though they're
what's her
not
name?
closely linked, but you know, Warner Brothers could turn around and say, actually, depending on the success of the Snyder Cut, they actually might make that canon. But I think he's just kind of protecting himself, but he's also giving himself license to do whatever the hell he wants. If he wants to recut it, that all these people die, he might kill Affleck, he might kill, Cavill again. He could do whatever he wants with it, because it's not in fact affecting the rest of the movies that are coming out. Because you've got Aquaman 2, Wonder Woman's still got a drop. You've got the Flash movie, which can't just get off the ground properly. And you've got Green Lantern, all these other kind of things. But I think a lot of it is going to depend on the success. They might just take a look at it and think, if this blows up and it becomes a huge thing. I mean, he dropped the footage of the black suit Superman at Justice Con, and it's just like, all that stuff is there. Everything we thought that was supposed to be there is there. And this could blow it out of the water, and it could actually just revamp the whole DC universe. I'm excited for it. I really can't wait to see what he does with it. Because Justice League was fun for a lot of parts of it, but I didn't like the look of it. I didn't like the color palette that they, Joss used at the end. And he basically said he'd rather burn his film than use anything that he hasn't filmed.
I saw that. Oh,
anything
gosh.
Anything that Joss Whedon has filmed is coming out of the movie. There's not been one shot of anything Whedon's done in it. So it's all his footage.
Good.
Why good? Why good? Explain why good. Because I'm curious, because I haven't kept tabs on this shit.
No. Well, we're not going to have Superman with the CGI Tash. I think the scene where Aquaman's sitting on the rope is probably a Whedon thing.
It is a Whedon thing.
But
what's sitting on the rope? Explain.
So, have you seen Justice League?
Once.
All right. Okay. There's a scene
for obvious reasons.
Yeah, there's a scene in it where Aquaman is inadvertently sitting on the lasso of truth, and he's talking, and he's like, obviously he's looking at Wonder Woman while he's talking, and he basically starts complimenting her, and he's like, oh gosh, you're beautiful, and all of that.
Then he starts getting emotional, saying he really likes these guys and he feels like part of a family and all this kind of stuff.
Is this on an extended cut or something?
It's
on the cinema
regular
release.
cut.
Oh, do you know, I might watch that tonight.
we just sold you again to watch it. That's amazing.
Well, because what you're talking about, I'm like, wow, I remember watching that film one time and just being like so boring. Yeah. And what you're telling me right now, I'm like, that sounds funny. When did I fucking?
Yeah, that was probably one of my favorite scenes, but it's not going to be in the Zack Snyder cut.
Well, the thing is, what it is Zack Snyder's entire approach to the DCEU, as he saw it, was, this ain't Marvel. This ain't going to be your happy-go-lucky. I'm going to make this as kind of serious, quite dark. This is how DC is. Mm-hmm. So that's what he intended to do. That's what he wanted to push out. And then, obviously, the reception to Man of Steel wasn't what Warner Brothers wanted. And then the reception to BVS was definitely not what they wanted. So then, when it came, they basically just, from the moment they could, I say Warner Brothers, but it was more like one particular set of people at Warner Brothers, and most importantly, Jeff Johns,
the producers,
who was basically interfering with Zack Snyder's vision. And then obviously everything that happened with Snyder's family, and then a few months after that, he's trying to work on this film, and then a few months later he's like, I can't. He's basically, I can't do this. And Warner Brothers, who were like looking for the perfect opportunity to get rid of him, are like, oh, but that's a shame. Sorry, bruv, go deal with your family. And they were like, yeah, Whedon, come do this. And they were like, they gave him a mandate, which was make it funny and make it 2 hours long.
Yeah.
And
this Zack's version is 3 hours.
Yeah. So the whole bit where the flag lands on Wonder Woman, where he lays on top of her and then he gets up and he's all awkward. That is all Whedon, to the point that is like that he used the same gag in Age of Ultron.
Mm-hmm. Are you serious?
He used the same gag in Age of Ultron where Hulk falls on top of Bruce Banner falls on top of Black Widow, and she's like, "Don't turn green,"
Yeah.
So he used the exact same thing.
Yeah, I really must have just zoned out during that movie and just been like, wow, this film sucks. Because there are some good bits in it, but then
and the fact, and the fact that Fisher's come out and just slated Whedon, just saying, you know, how he abused people on set and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And who came out and said that? Sorry, I didn't catch.
Ray Fisher, guy who plays Cyborg.
Yeah, no, I just didn't hear you say. All I heard was someone slated it, cut out of my ears.
Ray Fisher, the guy who plays Cyborg, come out and just told all these truths about Whedon, and he was abusive, and you know, it was an unhappy set. Everyone was unhappy with him, and a lot of backlash.
But is that because is that the same way that like? Because is that being taken out of context the same way like Megan Fox did about?
No. This is like from the moment he got on set to the moment the film was done. He was just being disrespectful. Like anything that Zack Snyder had filmed, he would shit on it. And this is like people who worked on Whedon's Justice League also worked on Snyder's Justice League. Mm-hmm. So they've already worked with Zack Snyder, and then they're just having to sit there. And
do you know what that sounds like? That reminds me a lot of I think maybe the only person who truly gets this is Joe. That sounds like what happened to James Cameron on the set of Aliens 2.
Right, right. Gotcha.
With the British crew who all worked on Aliens, and then so it's all of that going down, and he's adding in essentially what you can call just juvenile humor. The whole, so you're gonna fall on Wonder Woman and it's gonna be awkward, like to the point that Gal Gadot didn't even film that scene. They had to use a stunt double, which is why her face is never seen in it.
Damn. Wow.
Yeah, it's like all this shit is coming out, and obviously when the film is first released, everybody's got to play nice and shake hands and be like, "Oh, it was a great experience," right? Now they're like, "Yeah, oh, what? Zach's back? Yeah, fuck Joss Whedon."
And I think, I think that's another reason why you found that like Whedon, he's moved away from the Batgirl movie.
Yeah,
you know, he's like, there's not going to be a working relationship there with Warner Brothers.
Well, it's easy to throw Whedon under the bus, but where's the source of most of this information?
Ray Fisher.
Ray Fisher.
I might add, Ray Fisher was also a guy that was given quite a big role in Snyder's cut of Justice League. Mm-hmm. You know, he was, that was his chance to shine because Zack Snyder said many times he was the heart of the Justice League. Which was
his heart of the movie.
Yeah.
And when your cut's reduced to whatever it was in Joss Whedon's cut, do we really blame Joss Whedon, or maybe Joss Whedon was hired by?
There's a difference of being tactile and upset about your acting career and saying, look, there's some missed opportunities there, this and the other. But he's come out with really strong accusations. And
they are really strong accusations.
And nobody else has come out and said that's not the case.
Yeah.
So no one's come out in defense of Joss Whedon, and I think that speaks volumes.
And
no one's come out and said anything otherwise. Everyone's been silent.
Actually, no, they haven't, because all right. So people jumped up and publicly said, like,
they?
Ray Fisher is coming out and he's like, fuck Whedon. Whedon did this. Whedon did that. Whedon's a terrible person. That's what he's openly doing.
Yeah.
Whereas Gal Gadot is just like, I'm not messing with Whedon too tough. Like,
I'm not commenting when it was uncomfortable. There were scenes that weren't happy. So they've been a lot more diplomatic about it.
Yeah.
And that probably shows their maturity in terms of their age and their acting and their career at the moment, where he is just out more. He's passionate about it and he's really upset and he's just, he's venting. So, but nobody's come back to defend Joss Whedon. And I think that speaks quite a lot. So if people are unhappy with something, they might come out and say, if you look at the J.K. Rowling thing, she said something wrong and people came out up and they said, we don't agree with this. They didn't talk her down necessarily, but they were like, these are our beliefs and we think this is the right thing. Some of those have done something similar, in terms of, this probably wasn't the right thing. This was very difficult circumstances to work in and all that kind of stuff. They've been a lot more diplomatic about it. But bringing it back around to the point, basically Zach's being given a license to do his vision. It's a money maker for HBO Max. And we'll just have to wait and see what it actually does for the DCU, because other than Wonder Woman, I don't think anything else is coming out before it. So
this is all I got to say about Jeff Jones, though. Wait.
You were the chosen one!
Yes.
It was said that you would destroy this and not join them!
I mean, seriously, man, if you want an example of a really good writer that came from DC Comics that fanboys have been basically been jerking off to try and write a decent script. You want a guy that knows comic books to be put in charge of something, to, you know what I mean? That he's the epitome of someone that people have wanted for years to be in charge of DC movies. And it turned out he was the guy that destroyed the whole DCU. Like everyone. and people like me have been like looking towards people like what's the Superman guy with the fetish for like giant spiders?
John
Peters.
John
Yeah,
Peters.
sure. John Peters has his problems, etc. But Jeff Jones more or less took a train that had already left the station, then got the studio to like commit to reshooting the whole thing. He hired Josh Whedon because Josh Whedon's hot off Avengers. You know what I mean? The other side of the argument, I'm not totally throwing Whedon over the bus under the bus, because there's a lot more factors in terms of like the producers behind it, because obviously they had no faith in the Snyder Cut, and they hired a big time director to redo everything. You know what I mean? Not saying that Whedon probably wasn't forceful, but you know what I mean? Circumstances must, where they have a tight deadline to adhere to shit. And I'm not excusing his behavior, etc. But at the same time, there's a lot of factors going on. I mean, look at Ben Affleck. Ben Affleck's fucking face in those interviews showed how he felt about that movie. You know what I mean? He signed on for Zack's vision. You know what I mean? Which got shat on by these producers. And then Jeff Jones was supposed to co-write the Batman with Ben Affleck. I was
going to say, they ruined his chances.
Jeff Jones single-handedly ruined fucking Ben Affleck's script, basically, by trying to take the job that executives wanted, and because it's bullshit, man. It's bullshit. And I'm saying this as someone that likes Jeff Jones, okay? Like, he has written some of the greatest DC titles, you know what I mean? Like, over the past, 20, 30 years, man. And he gets the chance to step up to bat, and he blew it. He fucking blew it.
Well, that's the thing. I mean,
ran over. You were supposed to be the chosen one. You sucked.
Yeah. To put it in context for I mean, the 6 people who are probably listening to this podcast who have no idea who Jeff Johns is, right? Because I'm like, if you're listening to Zedos Gang and you don't know about comics, like, how did you get here? Right? But I'm like, Jeff Johns
for the movies, man.
Jeff Johns is one of one of the most prolific writers in comics of, as Sacha said, I wouldn't go as far as 30, but of the last 10 towards 20 years, right? Jeff Johns has been putting in the work. Green Lantern Rebirth, that's him, right? The Flash Rebirth, that's him. Whether people are happy or not about the whole New 52, Flashpoint, that's Jeff Johns. You know, a lot of the comic book original ideas that have spawned and been major parts of DC films and TV shows and animated movies of the last easily 10 years plus have come from Jeff Johns. So he is very, very, very important to it. So to have him be one of the driving factors into why the DCEU basically just toppled over with, i.e. in regards to Justice League, it's heartbreaking. It literally it's the equivalent of like, which one of the Beatles broke up the Beatles?
John Lennon.
Yeah, it's like having John Lennon be like, yeah, fuck these guys.
She's not part of the Beatles.
That's what it felt.
So you guys went off into different places.
Yeah,
no. This is.
Surprise, Joe. It's not always me that does it.
I'm for what. Since this Justice League film has been announced, I've been more excited to see his version of it now, purely because that whole universe is so just disjointed. I just want to say, okay, what was the original vision now? I just want to watch it now and see where it goes, because I reckon from the back of this they're gonna do something else with it. And
I feel like I mean, sorry to cut you, Joe. I feel like what's going to happen is what is probably intention. The probable intention is Snyder Cut, whether it's a film or whether it's like a 6 or 8 part like series, however they say it's going to be, it's going to come out and it will garner enough attention and it will garner enough viewership that they will attempt to continue the Snyderverse on HBO Max. They'll try and do it in the similar vein of what Disney are doing with things like The Mandalorian and things like Winter Soldier and Falcon and WandaVision and that, right? They'll try and be like, okay, this is the exclusive content that we're presenting you with. I feel like that's what they're going for. And if it is like, you know, absolute, you know, Babe Ruth home run out the park, never coming back, then they might be like, okay, so, you know, like they'll probably be, you know, they probably got the garbage trucks full of money lined up already, and they're like, look, you got Snyder's address in the sat nav, right? Yeah, okay. If this is as good as people are hoping it is, we're just gonna give you a go sign and you just drive there. Like what can you do next? Put it in the cinema.
Yeah. I mean, whatever Warner Brothers do, if they see any kind of potential or spike in potential that, okay, can we release this in the cinema? If we do, how many people will come to see it? I think if there's a big enough audience on HBO and everyone else is asking if it's going to be in the cinema, I think they'll do like I reckon Flash will be from the standpoint from the Snyder's verse will
They'll use Flash to connect it all, but
either connect it or separate it so it can do whatever they need to do with it. So, and I wouldn't be surprised of, you know, it might be one of these where they do a cinema release eventually after it's done on HBO Max, but I think they're going to protect it in order to get the viewership on the HBO Max. Like you'll say, it's going to be a separate thing on there. And, you know, because they need to make money back because Justice League didn't make enough money. So this is their second chance to bank.
It's crazy as well when you think about it. A film does 600 and something million and it didn't make enough.
Yeah,
right.
For those characters.
Like I said, I imagine they'll throw it. They'll probably try and throw it out in a similar vein of what happened with Kill Bill.
Right.
So we all know that Kill Bill 1 and 2 came out as 2 separate films and they did what they did, but I cannot remember. I believe it was within the last 5 years. I think it might be. That on it was like a special screening in LA, and they basically showed Kill Bill, the whole bloody affair, as one movie. And it had like extra scenes in it, and it was
it's a Japanese one. You're going to go to the...
No. It was in Los Angeles. And
I know where Sacha's going with this.
Neil.
I don't mean the bit where they added like the animated bits. I mean like actually deleted scenes.
So Neil, when the movie came out about 2 weeks before its release, they actually showed the whole bloody affair back in 2000 and whenever it came out.
2003.
They actually showed the whole bloody affair in London and across the world actually to show what Quentin's original vision was like. It's not a new thing. It's actually been in the vaults of Miramax since released, because that was the cut that Harvey Weinstein turned around and was like, yeah, it's good, but can you cut it into 2? So it's always existed. They just show it every now and again at special events and stuff. It's also something that fans have been clamoring about since day one. I know that it exists, and I actually know people that have seen it in its entirety back then. Like, for example, my friend Ibrahim, he actually went to that screening, and I remember him telling me about it at Sega. He was like, oh my God, it's amazing. I saw the whole thing in its entirety. There isn't that much added in except for the Michael J. White scene that's on the DVD of Volume 2. But other than that, it is completely recut very differently because obviously when they did the theatrical cut of 1 and 2, they had to give them their distinctive kind of flavors, if you know what I mean. But it's basically the whole thing, as you've seen, just cut differently, but with the Michael J. White scene added in. But yeah, it's existed since day one, man. I've just been waiting for that Blu-ray for years.
But I know someone who watched it within the last 5 years in a cinema in Los Angeles. That's why I was under the impression that it was like it only came out then.
Oh no, yeah. It's existed since day one. It's just Harvey Weinstein. That's the whole point. There's like a part 1 and part 2 because Weinstein just got the scissors and went cut. Basically, like cut this shit. I need to sell it. I don't know whether this will make money because it's sort of Japanese shit. People might understand this cartoon. I'm just pretending that's what Harvey Weinstein might have thought. You know what I mean? But
that's probably what he would have thought.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Okay. Moving on. Okay. Dave Franco to play Vanilla Ice.
No one asked for this movie.
That. I love that.
It's good casting.
Just to clarify, have you seen the film? Has anybody seen the film As Cool as Ice?
Yes. That was a movie back then, man. They come out on the motorcycles, and then it was like, I'll never forget is the bit, I think it's the black dude who drinks that funky sandwich where it's like peanut butter, mackerel, and pickles.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think.
Nobody wants to do that.
So
but he makes that.
So that film is hilarious for a lot of reasons, and they really should just not make the movie about Vanilla Ice. Just remake that film with Dave Franco.
Well, it's very much going to be in the vein of Disaster Artist. It's called To the Extreme.
Well, I was just gonna say, if you've seen Dave Franco in The Disaster Artist,
he's really good.
Yeah, he's really good.
But you know who I really love him as, and I would love, like when I first heard this, I was like, oh, is Dave Franco just gonna channel the character that he plays in Unfinished Business? Have anybody seen Unfinished Business?
You're gonna see a trailer for it, but
I think it's Unfinished Business. I think it's the one with him. And what's his name? Vince Vaughn.
Well, Vince Vaughn's producing this as well.
Well, there you go. So Vince Vaughn was in the film. I think it's Unfinished Business. I could be wrong, but Vince Vaughn gets fired and he hires people, and then Dave Franco plays a really, really stupid character in that movie. And I was like, yeah, if he plays that character in Vanilla Ice film, that'd be brilliant. But Vanilla Ice, he's like super rich apparently because he owns like a lot of real estate.
Exactly. He's going to go from high school dropout to his big selling single, then his like battling with fame and all this kind of stuff. So
he weren't battling.
Plus, you could have Suge Knight just show up and try to throw him out a window.
That's it. He was battling with fame. When Suge Knight turns up and he's like, sign over all your royalties.
Yep.
Like, it's Suge Knight.
Is Suge Knight still alive?
Yeah, he's in jail.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's why we're hearing out a lot of Suge Knight stories lately.
Yeah, it's like when you're just like you're Vanilla Ice, you know, you're like Vanilla Ice, and then in comes Suge Knight dressed in red with a bunch of goons, you know.
Sounds like a South Park episode.
Yeah, like you'll do what he tells you. that's yeah.
Okay, well, yeah. If it's anything like The Disaster Artist, I'm in. That I loved every minute of that.
Yeah, and biopics are the trend now. You know, they are seem to be what everyone's going for. You know, we've had Bohemian Rhapsody, and you've had Rocket Man. You've got the Hulk. You've got Tyson. You know, there's just so many biopics going on at the moment. So I think this will be a different take to those. It won't be so serious in tone.
Yeah, right. I was literally about to say, I think the difference with those is like you have the iconic figures of like Freddie Mercury and Elton John, and it's like, yeah, like these figures who transcend time and you know they transcended their music, and then you're like, yeah, I got the dude, you know, the dude who's like
Ice Baby,
Ice Baby, and Go Ninja.
Yeah. Like the way he was moving in that, I was like, that. You couldn't do. No one else could do it. But I want to see. I want to see a biopic of Milli Vanilli.
Oh, jeez, Milli Vanilli. I haven't heard that name in a long time.
Do you know what? As long as at the end, right as it, ever at the beginning of the end, the song "Girl, You Know It's True" starts skipping. Girl, you know it's girl, you know it's girl, you know it's.
End credits. Just at the end credits, just have the real.
Yeah, that'd be great. Do you know
the end credits of Vanilla Ice is going to be Eminem listening to the music going,
I got this.
I can do this.
I can do this.
So, right? I would actually like to see that. I wasn't really paying attention because I was just arguing with someone on Facebook. But
of course you were.
Standard. But I pinged up when you said that because I was just like, yeah, totally. That'd be really good. I'd love to see a Milli Vanilli movie, like to know the whole story behind that, and like the sad story. I don't know if it was Milli or Vanilli. He killed himself. No, suicide. Yeah, it's fucked up. But then like that's not even their fault. That's the music industry's fault, and then they just got found out. But
sounds like you should make that film.
Yeah, you know what really made me laugh?
What should I make? I can't make that film.
Sorry, Neil.
I listened to a large amount of hip hop, and especially in like late 90s, early 2000s, I was listening mainly to New York hip hop, i.e. Def Jam Records hip hop.
Mm-hmm.
And it was to find out that Kevin Liles, one of the big, like the guy who essentially ushered in the age of, where you could say like the Jay-Z, the DMX, the Ja Rules, who ushered all of that in. He essentially was like, I think he had something big to do with Milli Vanilli. Like he put them on or something.
Okay.
And it's just like, yeah, you went from Milli Vanilli to DMX. Like, wow.
Jeez. Damn. Yeah, that is a major swap. Palette swap. Milli Vanilli, DMX. Damn. Anyone else got anything to say on this?
No.
Okay.
Cool as ice, man.
Cool.
I actually want to watch Cool as Ice again right now,
Okay, so Taron Egerton to lead the Tetris movie.
Yo, this isn't what you think. This ain't no pixels.
No. I read I read the notes on it.
I'm literally just reading this. I skimmed it, so I'm going to leave that. Based on the Dutch-born Henk Rogers, who was the original creator of the games Quest to Take Court the powers that pay him for the creation due to what?
The original creator of Tetris got duped, man. He did his code. He created the game, and then some Russian company they took it from him and they sold it to Nintendo, and they
so it's a biopic.
Yeah, it's a biopic. He's taking heads to court and stuff in it, and yeah, man, it's a biopic of this guy.
It involves Robert Maxwell, who's a famous British.
Yeah, I know who he is.
Yeah,
he's like a paper mogul, right?
Him and his son owned a
his daughter's
Russian
in a bit of trouble there, man.
Owned a Russian company, and it was to do with the rights, and it's basically going to be a little bit like Facebook. It's going to be and imagine this is going to be going for the dramatic tone. And it's going to be like court procedures, all those kind of things.
Like the McDonald's, the one with Michael Keaton.
Yeah, the founder.
Yeah, a little bit like the founder. Yeah,
that was a good film.
Network, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much going to be something along those lines.
Okay. Do you know? As soon as I didn't read it purposely because I wanted to be surprised by what it is. Cause this is too long a sentence to be about Tetris, just Tetris, and so I just left it for now as a surprise. But
is this going to be like the Tetris the top score story?
You mean the
high score? The high score.
I'd say it's more like the Social Network.
Yeah,
kind of thing.
And it's John S. Baird, who he directed Stan and Ollie, another biopic. He's doing this
that was good. That was good.
Yeah, I really like Stan and Ollie. That was good.
I didn't know that it went down that way. I thought Tetris was
I remember hearing about that. It might have been years ago. I think Sash was the one who brought it up to my attention about the guy. It was someone. It was a friend of mine who was very heavily into gaming. Who was like, yeah, the guy who did Tetris got fucked.
Yeah, and so once they won the rights back, then they set up the Tetris company. So they set it up as its own brand and company and making all the millions now.
Okay, we're gonna jump forward to the next topic, which is, gosh, I can't move this thing there. The new Mutants trailer, and talks of a sequel by the film's director. Looks like it will be film. I think it's still being released in cinemas, but this is gonna be. It will go straight to Disney Plus after that. But they just need to release it now, and
because they're no longer New Mutants.
Yeah.
One so long they just
middle-aged.
I keep hearing about this fucking movie, right? And
I've actually stayed away from
whatever the fuck it is, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
Who gives a shit?
No.
Sometimes,
Have you seen the trailer?
No, I have.
I've stayed away because they released like the first 10 minutes or something.
Oh,
Yeah.
I've stayed away from
honestly, you know what the problem is, yeah? They've like, I'm piped up, so I'm piping up now. Fuck this shit, yeah? Because if you look at it, you just go, how many other films are so much more deserving, or series or whatever, are so much more deserving of a budget and being brought out? Like, why do we keep talking about this? Me personally, I don't care.
It's because Fox made
Make
it.
Dread 2.
It's
Dread 2.
Fox made it, and then
Fox can go to bowl of dicks.
Wanted to recut it, so they just weren't happy with what they didn't really know what to do with it.
Yeah. And if they're not happy with it, just stop making it. Take the hit, financial hit, and move on to bigger and better things. Because people have been going on about it. Like, this is 2 years now, longer.
3
years. They've been going on about this fucking thing.
The way you look at it is very clever marketing. The other way you look at it is very clever marketing. They've been keeping this held back. It got to a point where everybody thought it was going to be released, and then they kept teasing it. Then we're going to do it this way. We're going to try and do it this way. It's going to be its own thing. So
what
now it's generated so much hype, and people are talking about it.
What was that? What was her name? What was her name? They did another either TV series or movie or something where they had a mutant with red hair.
You talking about Legion?
Was it Legion? Was it Legion? I don't know. They brought it out and they got cancelled after the first season.
I don't know what that was.
Legion had 2 seasons, but
no, it was like some mutant show or some shit. It wasn't New Mutants. It was something else.
I know, with the family, right?
Gifted.
Yeah,
Gifted.
I can't remember. It may have been. I don't know. They bought this fucking show, and then some chick with red hair in it, and then that show got cancelled too. And I was like, why the fuck do people give a shit? Why don't I think I remember seeing this when this first came out. We may have even spoken about it on this podcast. And it's like, it almost seemed like it was like a horror thing, right? Like, it seemed like yeah. And I was just like, okay, cool. Do you know what it is? I am starting to get my fill of horror, of superhero movies. Like, I haven't been excited for another superhero movie.
It's not a superhero movie.
You know what I mean. It's called New Mutants. It's got something to do with superheroes, for fuck's sake, all right?
It really isn't.
Okay, what's it about?
It's a horror film.
It was originally made as a straight up and down horror film that just happened to involve superpowered individuals.
Yeah, still. It's a comic book, yeah?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, I don't think anything I've seen now recently or when it first came out that made me be like, yeah, I have to see that.
Have you not seen the Demon Bear?
Huh?
The Demon Bear. That if you'd seen it, just watch the trailer for it.
Watch the latest trailer that's come out,
and have a look at the Demon Bear, and then come back to me.
And try and watch it with an open mind.
It finished filming 3 years ago.
Yeah, that's the problem. There you go. That's what I'm saying. They finished filming 3 years ago. So and then I don't know. I'm just not. I get why other people want to watch it. When people be going on about it to me, I'm just like, fuck it. Who cares? Give it to something that would serve the budget.
This is Skinny on New Mutants. Jeff Boom. Is it Jeff Boom? Oh, no, something Boom. Yeah, him. He set out to make an R-rated horror version of X-Men based on the New Mutants, and that kind of fits the New Mutants, to be fair. So, cool. He went and made it. Fox looked at it, and they were in this whole thing where it's like, oh, we want it to connect with X-Men, and X-Men's 12A, and no one's heard of the New Mutants. So they wanted a reshoot, and they wanted to dumb it down to 12A certificate. And that seemed to be the thing. Some reshoots happened, and then they got bought by Disney. And then because of the buyout with Disney, they didn't know quite where to put it. Is it R-rated? Is it 12? What's the deal? And it's just been left in limbo ever since. Now it's coming out with the director's original vision as an R-rated film. And it's finally coming out. I think that's the Skinny, to be honest.
Yeah.
In terms of sequels and that, when he was making it originally, he had ideas for a 2 and a 3, and that's what he's talking about now. And those talks are being a bit more serious because of the introduction to streaming services and stuff. I don't think it'll be a Disney Plus thing. It'll probably be put on Hulu.
I mean, that's owned by Disney as well.
Yeah, that's owned by Disney as well. So it's a better fit.
Partly in it, not all of it.
Not all of it, but seems to be where the R-rated content would naturally go. And to be quite honest, depending if the movie's any good, if it warrants an audience, fair enough, cool. But we got to look into it this way. Marvel now own the IP, and it's a case of, do Marvel think that it's worthy of a sequel and stuff? But money talks and numbers talk, so we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, it's being released in the cinema, and I'm guessing it goes straight to a streaming site. So it depends on whatever money they make from it. If that gives them like a blue check mark, then I guess boom.
Do you guys think cinemas are dead? Because I kind of think they are.
No, I don't think so.
I think
any film released now will go to number one, and so
and stay there for weeks.
People want an excuse to go to the cinema now, so if they're clever, they would get this out quick. And they got to,
I think it's
what
August.
The studios in the US got to stop doing, which they have decided to do now with Tenet, is they got to release it internationally first. Stop worrying about the domestic market, because America is just nowhere near controlling what they need to control. But other markets are available, and they can make the bank there. But what they don't want to do is spoil it for American audiences, because they believe that, majority of the time, that's where they make their largest amount of money. So they're very cautious about releasing it elsewhere, especially films we're going to have bad or mixed reviews. And that's where they'll be holding back. Tenet, they just know people are going to go see it. So they can make the bank. It's going to have good reviews. They obviously got a lot of confidence in it to release internationally. But when it comes to stuff like this, they don't want it to be a bad word of mouth, and then nobody goes to see it in the States. So they'll either release it internationally and then maybe video on demand or like a streaming service in the US. But there's different ways of doing it. But I think anything going into the cinema now is going to make money. But all the studios are pushing stuff back. Top Gun, Quiet Place, it's all being back to next year.
Or next year. As going back to your, just quickly on your thing, Leo, I have this fear as well. I think cinemas can only stay the way they are for another, is it AMC's to the beginning of January, and that's kind of it. And so if that hits, then the film industry is going to take a big hit. It doesn't matter if Netflix are making films. It doesn't matter if anyone's making films. The whole industry is going to take a big hit, and the types of.
I mean, to be honest with you, like, piracy becomes so much easier if you don't involve cinemas anymore.
No, I don't. I disagree. I completely disagree.
You're wrong. Trust me.
No, I disagree.
Okay. All right. Well, let's. Okay, go on then.
If you look at films that have been released on video on demand, they've made huge amounts of money. Like Trolls.
That's not what I said, though. That's not what I said.
Okay, so I thought your point was the fact that if it's not released on the cinema, it's on digital platforms, it's easier to copy and distribute. So
that's what I said. Yeah, but so what you said is that you're saying it's not bankable. I didn't say that. I'm just saying that it's like, okay, so there is a very big difference. Can we talk about this without you having to scribble down and it being removed? If we're talking about piracy?
No. The two things that I'm doing here is that I'm marking down, so when I cut it in half, I can. Don't worry about it. It's cool.
Okay. No, because I don't want to.
No. You say what you got to say, Leo. God damn it!
Don't worry.
Shut up, you. All right. So okay, my point is, there are two groups of people that watch films, right? Give or take. Yeah. There's the group of people who are just like not savvy with technology. They have Netflix and it's very easy. Boom. Yeah. Oh, it's on Netflix. And we all know those people. You speak to people and you say, oh, hey man, you got to check out this movie. And they're like, oh, is it on Netflix? And you say, no, it's not. And they go, oh, okay. How do I, and like, that's it. Yeah. Like they go to the cinema and they watch films on Netflix or Amazon Prime or whatever. Right. And then you have people like me, for when I was saying to Neil, hey, go watch One Cut of the Dead. And I was like, you will find it through other means if necessary. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So any film, and I'm telling you this from sheer experience, any film I can go to right now that you're telling me is out online to purchase, I can go watch that film through other means.
Yes.
For free. Yeah. So my point is that it's so much more easier to pirate. Yeah. A movie that is not going to cinema. If it goes to VOD,
I see what you mean. Okay.
The piracy on it, whether or not that piracy is used, is a different story.
Okay.
The more and more that people. Yeah, but like what I mean is, okay. So I don't know how much you know about that community. I'm trying to be vague here. I don't know if you know how much you know about that community, but in that community, there are stages of releases, right? There are cam releases. Then they go into then they start moving up to like HD release, and then you got 4K releases, and you got web rips and stuff like that, right? So there's different copies, Korean rips, and all this shit. Yeah. So if you if you take out the fact that it has to go cinema, go into print, go into all of this, and it bring it straight up into VOD, I promise you, all it takes is somebody just to watch the film and screen record it at the same time, and then boom, there's your perfect copy online. And then that's just like an easy way I can decide to do it if I wanted to. But there are other ways that people do it as well. They just crack it, boom, off it goes. It's out online. The whole step of it, of the whole removal of distance between somebody having to go to cinema and watch it and waiting for decent copies to come out online as opposed to just cam rips, and it just being a perfect copy now available for you to watch and watch through dubious means, is so much smaller. Yeah. So, and as technology progresses, people, and I know people now who aren't even technologically savvy, but have things like Kodi, yeah, things like that provide it in a Netflix format for idiots to on-demand movies that normally wouldn't be able to get for free. So the more you provide that on-demand service, the way easier it is to pull off and show through dubious means. So that's what I mean. Like when you're saying like, oh, we'll just release it on demand. Yeah, they're making money. Yeah, for sure, but not for long. Because
I mean, really,
that gap is getting smaller and smaller. The gap between the consumer and that paywall is almost non-existent.
But you still pay for product, even though you can get it for free.
Yeah. I pay for the product, but I can pay for free. Yeah, correct. But that's only because of my understanding of the movie community. That's because I buy a movie because I want to support the industry. Like, for example, Underwater, right? I watched that via dubious means, but I still bought the Blu-ray. Well, I didn't buy the Blu-ray. Sorry, I bought it on iTunes because I was like, I like that movie so much that I want them to make money from that, and I want to show my financial appreciation. But go down the pub, right? For example, go down the pub. Yeah, mate, I'll watch that. Yeah, I thought it was brilliant. Yeah, Tom Hardy. Wait. Do you really think that guy's going to go buy the Blu-ray? Nah, he just watched it once on Morpheus or Kodi. Done.
Oh, what,
you know what I'm saying?
I think there's
a difference between them being an aficionado and caring about the industry. And the more that paywall disappears and technology brings the consumer closer to the actual product without there being a paywall, that's what VOD does, because eventually it's just going to be someone's going to tell you, hey, you can just watch this for free on this website, just click here. You don't even need a computer anymore. Like, I can watch a film from my phone and stream it directly to my television without needing a PC or having to click on this link or I can go into an app. They have that. Android has that. Android used to have an app, and I'm sure they have other apps called Showbox.
But if cinema was to die, the movie studios would invest in the technology and the policing of the internet and those formats.
Never. They will. There is no way they can beat the internet.
Then film itself is dead. Film itself is dead. Then
I agree. This is the fear. I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm not saying this is a good thing. This is my fear. Like there is no way that you can. The anonymity provided to you by the internet, the fraction of people that get convicted for piracy in comparison by the people, because the laws are that it's illegal to distribute, but it's not illegal to watch. That's the law. So you can, I don't know if that's here, but in America, that's definitely, it's illegal to distribute, but you can watch it. And you can, at the end of the day, like places like, I don't want to say the word, but they exist in other countries. Therefore, those laws do not apply to them.
Well,
so
Netflix
there are so many
to make it work, and they keep investing in new content. So
they of course, and I get that, but like I said though, like that's because Netflix is one thing, and prior to all of this happening, we still had the cinema and we had all these steps. But given the current situation now, as I view it, that gap between the consumer and the product in the paywall that separates them is getting way smaller and smaller, because I can access personally quite easily as well. I can access everything that's being given to me on all these products for free. The only thing that it doesn't give me that way of it is the format for me to see all of it in one go as a choice. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
But
Whereas
that makes
Netflix,
sense.
you have to build queues
there'll
and
be
all that
different-
shit.
Yeah, there'll just be different ways of doing it, because what will happen is, say cinema does die out and it's all going to be online and streaming, the subscriptions will get higher. People will pay it for content, and what you've got to realize is that Netflix makes money by, whether 4 or 5 people are using an account, they're getting a regular pay every single month from a user. Some people might only go to the cinema 2-3 times a year, but they'll pay for Netflix every single month.
Okay, so let's say next weekend, next weekend, I release something that says that, hey, I can put everything on Netflix in the same format as Netflix, completely free. Here's a website, go click on it. Would you pay for Netflix?
Server space. That's your one misconception about this whole thing.
Incorrect.
How so?
Okay, so how is it I can watch everything that Netflix have online?
No, I'm not.
For free.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying if
if that becomes the only format in which to watch your content, it will be managed differently.
I don't think so.
I'm telling you, man.
I'm sure. Okay, no. I'll rephrase. I think you're right. It will be managed differently, but I don't think that the countermeasures in place would be enough to stop that pay gap non-existent. They've been trying to fight it for years, and it's been a losing battle, because the fact that you still have piracy existing these days in the format of which it does means that you cannot beat it.
I think the thing is, though, from hearing everything that's being said, I believe that what it is at present moment, film studios, whether they want to admit it or not, they can afford to lose X amount of money via people illegally watching films, because they know we're still going to release this film in the cinema. Oh, how much did it cost to make? 50
That's my point.
How much did it make?
That's what I'm saying.
It made 200 million. All right, well, we've doubled what it cost to make it. We're good. I think once you reach a point of okay, there is no cinema. If we ever reach that point and there's no cinema, they would retroactively be like, okay, no, you know what? Because of the fact that now time is of the money is really on the table now, that we can't do X, Y, and Z. Then you will see them really start pushing the envelope to crack down on these things. There will always be, it's like sand. There will always be things that slip through the grip, but they will find ways to limit it as much as they can. And
listen, I want that to happen. The thing is, in no shape or form, as somebody who dabbles on both sides, but if I watch a film, for example, I have Shudder. Yeah, you watched One Shot of the Dead on my Shudder account, right? Right. Okay. At no point did I still pay for it. I think it's a good service. By and large, I can still find everything else. I'd still pay for it because I want to support further financing of services like that. Because I see the benefit of it. Just by sharing a movie with you in that way. I could have just sent you a link and gone, here, check it out on here, but it was much easier to do it that way. That is, I don't, in no way, shape, or form do I agree. I don't want it to go down that road, right? I would rather pay for a good product than get a shitty product for free. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And then have the counteracting effect that it has. So my point is, Ken, you are right, yeah? I'm sure they will take countermeasures, but just knowing what I know and how easy, even just having an app on your phone to stream a movie to your television has become, Showbox and things like that. Obviously, I know Showbox doesn't exist anymore, but that they pop up with different versions of the same app with different names, right? How easy it is for the layman to just do that. I can't see what countermeasures they have that can counteract that. Does that make sense? Because they've been trying to do it with the music industry for years, and they can't do it then, and they can't do it with the movie industry for years. And the amount of time being cracking on, and the problem is that whilst there is always a countermeasure, there's always going to be people to beat it. And you've seen this with places like Sony, who just got hacked recently. Loads of people, $1 billion companies getting hacked. Twitter just got hacked the other day. And there's always a fault somewhere to break. Yeah. And that's my point. I don't want it to happen, but I just think it's going to.
I'm gonna after this. I'm gonna move it on. But having worked in post production for a very long time, One of the last films I worked on. The way these from. Okay, if you're an aficionado, I would like to say I like my quality, and for my TV's HDR, it has all of these bells and whistles, and a lot of these films have these bells and whistles. If when you're encoding a film, especially if it's going to cinema, there's no way you can get a perfect copy from a screen recording or perfect sound from a screen recording. You need the master. No. You need the master.
No, I said right. I agree.
Oh, okay. I thought you were getting up with me, man.
No. I agree. You're right.
And if you're just like if you just want to watch the film, it's fine. But if you want the bells and whistles, you need the master. And so the only way to do that is either through like a Netflix or kind of through Netflix or Amazon. But the physical copy of the film is probably your most perfect aspect, 1-to-1 from what you get.
Who do films get made for, Joe?
Excuse me?
Films get made for the general, like
yeah,
when the film gets made for the general public, right?
Yeah, average Joe.
For the average Joe. Yeah. Okay.
Right.
Go down to Jack the lad in the pub and told me he watched.
I'm not talking about that guy. I'm not talking about
Okay, no,
that guy.
I get that, but that guy's the guy.
Sure.
That guy and all of his friends.
Sure.
And all of his
Yeah,
12 mates.
I get where you're coming from, Leo, but let Joe finish what he's trying to say, man.
I'm talking about people like myself. I mean, I know I see where the writing's on the wall with physical media. I'm getting all the films that I know are like this. Like for instance, Back to the Future's coming out. I'm purchasing that immediately because I know it's going to go away, and I want a perfect copy of it because it's something I grew up with. It's something I want. I don't want the internet to cut it in half or do anything with it. That's so I'm talking people like me will always buy these things, and I think there's a balance. Because there's still a balance of people that want to go to cinema for an experience with the sound, the picture, and all of that, and they will go and do that. And there's a large part of the audience that will just I'll wait, and I think. The reason why those weekends are so important is because everyone that will go to see these films are they want to see something in an experience. They want an experience with it. And look, the one way we're going to find out about this is when the first film that comes out in the cinemas in a couple of weeks is that movie with Russell Crowe, Unhinged. And that's going to be a big marker. Everyone's going to be looking at that film. So, okay, what's happening? How much money is it making through the days and the weekends? And that's where you'll see. I mean, even future films. That's where budgets are going to be. Do we have to slash the budget of this so we can have it on in the cinema and go into VOD?
Sure.
Yeah. And everything's going to be checks and balances because. Yeah. You know, and like Netflix in April got an extra 16 million subscribers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because of lockdown. Yeah. That's 160 million a month more that they're making, you know, and I don't know what it was in sort of like May and June and stuff like that, but that's consistent bank.
Mm-hmm.
You know, with so many streaming services available, you know, people are going to have to pick and choose their content. And that's why all these studios and everything are having their own stuff because they want to do their own content and do it their own way. Like Joe said, there's always going to be people who want that experience. I do. Social media pretty much spoils everything these days. You have to see it opening weekend. You have to see it on launch. And that's a big driving factor in it as well. So people, if they can't see it in the cinema, they may pay for it online as well because they want that experience and they don't want it to be spoiled. They want the story. They want the characters. They want the enjoyment. And that's why I still pay for content, you know?
Yeah, I completely agree with both of you. You're both 100% correct. I'm not disagreeing.
I know.
I'm
this
just
is a
saying,
debate.
Moving forward, as we are losing the social side, if we lose cinemas, right, which I really hope we don't, because I completely agree. As Ken said, as you guys said, it's an experience. It's good to go. Like, that's great. Obviously, there are people that want to go to the cinema. It's not just because I love this movie. It's a social experience. You go out with your friends. You go to cinema. We've all done it. We've all met up. All of us have met up. We've gone to a restaurant. We've eaten. We've gone to watch a film. Right? That's great. But if that goes, I think that the paywall gap just. I don't think the countermeasures that Hollywood have are enough to stifle to get the everyday man to get closer to watching that movie. The way technology is moving now. But anyway.
Or there'll be less to watch, I'll tell you that.
Well, we're running the experiment now, so we'll see how it works out when Unhinged comes out, and then we'll go from there. But I'm cynical.
Neil, what were you going to ask me?
I was going to say two things. You said like Unhinged would be the experiment. I don't think it will. I think it will be something like your Tenet or your Black Widow.
Yeah, I think on a bigger level, yeah.
Hungry for, because I genuinely like. I reckon, depending on when Tenet does release, I reckon it'll be like it'll wind up being like top 5 highest grossing movie of all time.
Can anybody tell me, by the way, is that being filmed on film or is that being
film?
Film.
Okay, for film, yeah. But it's like,
but what Joe means by Unhinged as being the test is a relatively not expected to do that well movie.
Yeah.
How people will drive to the cinema to get that experience back. So that's what he means by it being that marker, because it's going to be, would I have gone to see this? No. Will I go to see it now? Maybe, just because I want to get back out.
And not couple Bad Boys 3.
Yeah.
Right.
Hey, Bad Boys 3 was alright, man.
I like Bad Boys 3, man.
I loved it.
You can shit on that
surprised.
People can shit on that film
totally
all they
surprised.
want. People can shit on that film all they want. It's still the highest grossing film of the year. Boom.
Yeah.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Is that because it was one of the last films in the cinema?
No,
it was one of the first.
In January.
It came out in January.
Okay. I don't know. I randomly, I can't remember. Again, but this is what I mean. Do you know how I watched that movie? Someone posted the whole film on Facebook.
And Facebook didn't even try to pull that down.
And didn't even delete it. So I just watched. No, it wasn't even a watch party. Someone just took the file and dumped a HD rip onto Facebook without want or abandon. So I was like, cool, done. So I literally pressed the video as it was playing and then just pressed stream onto my television. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Like, that gap just didn't exist. And I wasn't even trying. I was scrolling through my feed and there it was. And I was like, okay, let's do this.
Right. I mean, some people want to watch a film like that. Some people don't. I mean, again, it didn't hurt it. I think it made like 400 million or something.
Yeah, but that was that. But then, as you've already told me, that film was released in the before times. It was
a different age.
This is we're in the end game now, my friend.
2020 CV.
Ken, can you hold on for the last question?
Go on then.
Okay.
I'm trying to avoid the death stares.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna cut a few.
Shit,
of these
did you
out.
need to go, Ken? My bad.
Okay. Marvel, Netflix, Daredevil rights revert back to Marvel. So, what do you guys think about that?
Thank the Lord in all creation.
Why? Why thank Lord? Didn't Netflix do a great job? I thought Netflix did a great job.
Netflix did a brilliant job, but the simple fact that it's like, with the whole thing of like, oh, studio rights, and it's like, oh, are you going to play ball? Are you going to do this? Are you going to do that? Like, I mean, look, to be honest with you, like, Marvel are criminals in most of this. Like, you look at the Sony Marvel deal, like, everybody was like, oh, Sony taking the piss. Sony were actually the good guys in that deal, right? But I'm just like, if everything goes back to Marvel, then I don't have to worry about, oh, is this film connected to this universe? Because now it's made by a different company, and what happens when the deal's up, and what happens when, this studio wants more money than that studio is willing to give. So I'm like, give everything back to Marvel. Let's keep the train rolling.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm like, if them getting it back, and furthermore, now that they have it back, if they continue on with, Charlie Cox and Daredevil and, like Vincent D'Onofrio and all of that, if they keep that going, if they're like, well, we own it now, so we can do what we want, I'm all for it. If they suddenly
someone call Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner, man. Let's do that. Let's run it back.
He's involved now.
Yeah, for me, it's two different. It's two parts. Like Neil said. So I think Netflix on the whole did a good job with Marvel in terms of those characters. I think Daredevil, Punisher were the exceptions. They were fantastic. I know a lot of people weren't too big a fan of Punisher, but I think the second season. But I think they delivered on the actual character and the experience and what you wanted to see from those characters. Luke Cage, I thought was fine. Jessica Jones, I thought was great. I think Iron Fist was probably the disappointment in the casting in the first season. Second season was better. But it's they obviously started to tie into the movies originally. So the first season of Daredevil mentioned the event in New York and stuff like that. And then when the studios and the TV series is kind of split at Marvel, they had two very distinct different channels, and that's why Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. kind of got less involved in all these other things in terms of the main continuity. And what it means by Daredevil going back is that, yes, it means that we can start to see Daredevil with linking up with Spider-Man, and you can have like Kingpin and those kind of characters. Daredevil, Kingpin, and Spider-Man crossover would be amazing with Tom Holland and stuff like that. I don't know whether they're going to keep the same characters. I really like Charlie Cox as Daredevil, and I'd really continue it. If they don't do it with one, I think they won't do it with any of them. And I think Daredevil will be the one most likely that they would keep the casting continuing. But if they don't do it with him, who knows what they're going to do with the other ones. The other ones are going to stagger over to Marvel eventually. It's all part of the deal because obviously they're all released at different times on Netflix. So they all will expire. They won't ever appear on Disney Plus because they're R-rated. Netflix own those, and they will never not be able to show those shows, I believe, unless Marvel try and purchase them out of their back catalog because they are produced by Netflix. But in terms of the moving over, I want to see those characters move over. But again, it's probably too soon at the moment. There's so much more that they've got going on with Fantastic Four and X-Men and stuff like that. There's no need to rush this stuff. I think the biggest disappointment I would see is if they try to move those shows over to Disney Plus and then tame them down and try and make it like a PG version of it. That's what I don't want to see. But they can definitely have them introduced to the movies first, maybe. But you could argue Daredevil, they can keep the fighting sequences in a Disney Plus show. You just won't have the blood and just maybe as much violence because they have some probably 12A stuff on there. I don't know what the highest rating stuff on Disney Plus is, but you've got sort of like the Pirates films and some even 12As, yes, like the Avengers and stuff like that. Those movies. So you can get away with a 12A Daredevil because we've seen it. It will be a slightly tamed down version, but if it's done right, it can still work. So there's lots of opportunity, but I think it's disappointing that we won't get to see those stories continue to play out, the ones we saw on Netflix.
Yeah, well, I think this is a good thing. Especially if they keep, as you said, Charlie Cox and who was the Punisher?
John Bernthal.
Yeah. He's great as the Punisher. I really do hope they can try to keep as much from the Netflix universe or the Netflix Marvel universe as possible, because a lot of it was good. And I hope Disney can see that, or Marvel can see that there's the connective tissue for them, bringing them into that. As right, this is the Netflix thing, and he's with Spider-Man. That would be amazing. I would love to see that.
The actors want to do it.
Yeah, see, the thing is, for me personally, what I feel they can do is like, all right, through comics, there's the Marvel universe, and then there was the one called Marvel Knights. Similar to like there was the DC universe, and then there was DC Vertigo, right? Where it's like this is a bit more kind of adult orientated stuff, and maybe slightly darker, maybe a bit more brutal. I'm like, you know what, MCU, just kick it in and say, all right, you know what, anything that's going to be a little bit harder than than a 12A, Marvel Knights. Have it like we got the iconic red Marvel logo. Make it black. Have it as the black Marvel logo. Boom. You put it out there. You make it, or you keep it in. Because the thing is, as we were talking about, mom and pop in Oklahoma, average Joe, regular person going down.
That's how I know you've watched the special features in Top Gun.
Yeah. I thank you for that. Right, but it's like, the average person may not care, but I feel like, especially now with things like Marvel, they know who their audience is. They know, all right, yeah, everyone's going to go and see this film, but they know, all right, the bread and butter, the ones who are going to see this film more than once, the ones who are going to be like, pre-order the film like 20 minutes after they finish watching it, the ones who are going to be like, oh, Marvel are releasing a £400, 5-disc box set, the person who they're like, yeah, he or she is gonna go buy it. They're like, all right, we need to do things to keep them engaged, as well as doing things for, you know, the average person who's just going to watch it once. And I feel like in that regard, they're going to be like, well, the idea of recasting, you know, Punisher after 2 seasons, Daredevil after 3 seasons, you know, like, okay, Iron Fist wasn't as greatly received as Daredevil. Luke Cage wasn't as greatly received as Punisher or whatever it is, or Jessica Jones, whatever way you want to throw out there. It's like people have had years to adjust with these characters, and it's not like we're talking about something that was a complete and utter failure.
No,
like we're not talking like the Ben Affleck Daredevil movie. We're not talking Batman and Robin. We're not talking something where it was like it's universally regaled. We're talking about something that people have genuine interest and enjoyment from these things, right? So it's the idea of being like, oh, I'm just gonna, you know, you're just gonna cut it off, or I'm just gonna recast it. I think after Charlie Cox, after John Bernthal, after those guys, I'm like, you're gonna have to work hard to recast those guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then present it. Like, obviously you can recast it and present it in the MCU, but you've established it. The characters are established in these incarnations in such a way that, to me personally, I just think it's a waste of money and probably a waste of time to
most of the popularity, because they're popular shows.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, obviously we all know money makes the world go round, but I'm like, nothing makes money spin like popularity.
Yeah, I agree with you. Sach, any insight on this?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like those shows were really good. You know, maybe not all of them, but you know, quite the majority of them. For me personally, like I really got into it. It's actually a big crowd pleaser in this household because my mother actually watches those shows. She actually quite enjoyed them.
Okay,
all of them. And for me, Daredevil, like I like Daredevil. There was a period of time where I got the books and stuff, most notably Frank Miller's run on Man Without Fear, the miniseries retelling of the origin, and, you know, a couple of Kevin Smith's run on the comic as well. And like Neil just mentioned, the Marvel Knight series, I used to get that and Punisher all the time. And I think Daredevil in particular, that show did the character so much justice that I got that man, yeah. But that interpretation of the character was so spot on what Daredevil should be, what that universe should be in terms of his world and whatnot. And Jessica Jones as well. Jessica Jones was fantastic, a fantastic adaptation. I personally felt those two were the strongest shows. Punisher, the first season was really good. Second one, you know, it was more a case of people are sour over what they did to Jigsaw, which I understand because they should have really hammered up the R rating there and just did the character justice, and they kind of flopped there. But in terms of like these characters, a lot of them don't really fit the MCU mold. I think that's probably a bit problematic for Disney, if that makes sense. I suggest the same thing. They're probably thinking the same thing on what the hell they're going to do with Deadpool, because the IP is so popular. It made, you know, a lot of millions, and the Netflix show, there's a strong fan base there for them. I think Luke Cage and Iron Fist could be rebranded. If they were to carry on, they could rebrand that as Heroes for Hire, make a Heroes for Hire movie, because those two characters have their own comic where they teamed up and stuff, and that would probably work better for the both of them. Luke Cage could also benefit from an R-rated blaxploitation movie. I think that would be amazing if they did it there, because I feel that Luke Cage's problem as a series was that it did drag. You know, like I felt the series should have been shorter than what we got, and I felt they put it. Yeah, they put in way too much filler in there. But when it was great, it was fantastic. And even if it wasn't an 18, I think they could get away with a PG-13 version because the character doesn't swear. He's a good guy. You know what I mean? But then Luke's world is R-rated. So, do you know what I mean? It's trying to find a balance of that. I think rebranding it as a hero for hire film, as a 12A, that could work really well for both characters and have it fit within the current MCU. That could work really well, and they could tie it into who's the Oriental character that they're bringing out in the next Shang-Chi. They could have a Danny Rand cameo in Shang-Chi quite easily because obviously they fight the Hand every now and again, and there you go. I mean, with stuff like Punisher and Daredevil in particular, I feel maybe they should move them to Fox Studios because Fox seems to be where Disney are putting all their R-rated output. But I think if you dilute the brand, then it shits on the series that we've had before, and a lot of people you rare risking the IP on that. It's like RoboCop. RoboCop is an amazing movie, okay? But then the minute you make it 12A, you don't make the money because you've diluted the experience and what the audience expects from the character. You know, that's why there's no RoboCop 2015 sequel, because Sony looked at it and was like, well, we tried. We didn't get the mad money from it that we thought we could by reintroducing it to a new generation. Because when it really came down to it is this: if you're going to remake RoboCop, yeah, that 2015 version wasn't that bad, but there's only one real version. You know what I mean? And people ain't going to be watching that one over and over. Same thing with Predator. They tried to do a PG version of Predator with the AVP movies. Fucking failed. And then they went back to what made the Predator great by trying to concentrate on standalone movies where it was R-rated with Predators, and less to be said about the recent outburst. I like the AVP movies. The first one, anyway.
And that's where we need to end. Thank you very much, guys.
But I mean, fuck you, Joe.
I mean, like, just don't dilute the characters. I mean, obviously, you know, it's up to Marvel to do what they want to do. Balls in their court. We'll see what happens. But I think Jessica Jones, though, she's a character that's managed to get away unscathed because I feel her journey has ended with that series. They knew the contract had ended, and they gave her the greatest send-off, I felt.
I never watched. Is it third season, right? 3 seasons?
Yeah, 3 seasons.
I never watched the third season.
Third season either.
No, I felt the way they did it in terms of the character and the story, it could end right there, or it could carry on. But we'll see. I don't know.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to end it there because I know Ken's got to go. So I'm going to thank all of you guys for joining me. Is there anything that you guys want to plug beforehand?
Me? I want to.
Yeah.
Watch that shit.
So working with Joe, Sacha with Zedos Gang, we're launching our new podcast, Creative Control. Basically, we take one subject and we say, if we had creative control over it, what would we do with it? So what would we do with the DCEU? How would we introduce Fantastic Four into the MCU? We talk about Terminator franchises, Indiana Jones franchises. So there's lots of episodes going to be coming up. First episode is going to drop in about the next 10 days, hopefully. Watch this space.
Okay, cool. Okay. Anyone
and
else?
Don't forget, guys, make sure you go on to leagueoflegends.com/Zedos Gang. That's where all of our stuff is based. If you haven't played League of Legends, shut up, just listen. If you haven't played League of Legends, it's a fantastic game with console graphic style. You can create clans, leagues. You can come onto my team if you like. And anytime you guys want to come and play, just jump on and you get 10% off. I just made that shit up. That's bullshit. That's not true.
Come check my Cameo and OnlyFans account.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
You got an OnlyFans account? Can I get a link?
All right. Let's leave it there.
Ken
Guys.
dipped, boy. He dipped fast.
Let's leave it there. Let's leave it there. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Leo. Thank you, Sach. Thank you, Neil, for joining me.
Thank you.
No worries. This has been the Zedos Game Podcast, and we're out. Go on. Come on, do it. Come on.
I am the man that killed Jamie Lannister.